Sawadika. I am, as you know, a big fan of the internet. It's a great way to connect with people, to keep in touch with old friends and make new friends across nations and across the miles. We saw in Egypt how important the internet is and how awful it is to watch the largest internet shutdown of our time. We saw that silencing ideas does not make them go away. And I think we all believe that the internet must stay free, that the internet must be a tool, a means, a way that we can all communicate, that we can grow our economies, share ideas, build our creativity. United States Secretary of State Hillary Clinton has just given a very important speech on internet freedom that reminds us all that the internet must stay free. Sawadika.
Ambassador, you love to tweet.
I'm a tech girl.
Like, I don't know, 10 times, 20 times a day?
It depends on my day and where I am, but yes, a lot.
How did you pick up Twitter and Facebook?
I've been doing those for a number of years now. I don't know, 3 or 4.
What do you like about it?
I like connecting to people. I started doing it because in my profession, I have friends and family scattered across the globe. So I started doing it just to share back and forth. What are you doing? What am I doing? And then other people started.
But it's sort of a public
It is very public. It is a public conversation. Yeah. But I'm social. I like people. I'm friendly. And so I don't mind talking about what I'm doing. And you get lots of fun comments back. And I don't know, I feel like you make friends. I actually met with someone this morning, and one of the other people in the office came out and said, I feel like I know you. We're on Twitter together. Oh, that's great. Like, I follow you on Twitter. I know what you're doing.
I follow you too.
Exactly.
I follow you too.
But it's a good way for several ways. Twitter gets you breaking news. If you follow some of the major news sites, but also you get interesting opinions or ideas, and I just find it a great source of way to connect and hear thoughts. I love it.
How addicted are you to Twitter? Are you like a Twitterholic right now?
Pretty close. Yeah. Well, I don't. I obviously don't. When you can pretty much tell where I am when I'm doing. If I'm getting up in the morning, going to sleep, I'll tweet. But during the workday, it's a lot harder to tweet. So once in a while, but I really enjoy it. It's just, I don't know. It's a great connector. It's fun to hear from people. Fun to get news of all different kinds.
Do all these modern technologies help you in your line of work?
Tremendously. Because, first of all, it makes me feel more comfortable. On Twitter, I'm exchanging views with lots of Thai people. And so I'm getting a sense for thoughts that Thai people may have, how Thai people think. I couldn't possibly meet that many people in person.
But mostly you tweet about personal stuff.
Right? Well, it's my personal Twitter account. So you want official, that we have an embassy official statement. But this is just my personal, what I'm doing, what I'm up to. And sometimes I'll tweet some views on something. But it's really mostly just me.
Just your personal view.
Yeah. It's just me, what I'm doing, what I'm thinking, what I like.
Not Ambassador Kristie.
Not Ambassador Kristie, not the official policy view, just Kristie.
But is it part of public diplomacy?
Well, it's funny, people ask me that. I was doing this before it became popular to call it public diplomacy. The way it's good publicly, I hope, is I think that often in countries, the American ambassador is a little bit of a mystery. Who are they? What do they do? So I hope it helps people understand that I'm a really normal girl and I do normal things. Helps people feel a little more connected. Americans too. What is their ambassador doing? They at least know what I'm up to and what I like.
I think one of the biggest event that took place that make us question and wonder about the U.S. diplomacy is, of course, WikiLeaks. Mm-hmm. How does that change the face of diplomacy for the U.S.?
WikiLeaks was one of those difficult issues that periodically comes up. But I will also say, I don't think for me it will change much at all. Most of the business that diplomats do at my level is on the phone, via email, and you talk to all sorts of people. So WikiLeaks purported to be messages sent back and forth in a very traditional diplomatic style. And I think less and less today people use that. I don't as much. The world's just too fast.
But do you still have to send diplomatic cables back?
People do that at a working level, generally, at the embassy. And if you've seen WikiLeaks, it has a name at the bottom. Every message that goes out of any embassy has the ambassador's name at the bottom. But very rarely in today's world, in say the last 3 or 4 years, does an ambassador actually write them. It's like writing reports. How often do you sit at your desk and write a report? Pretty rarely. But people who work for you might write the report, send it back. You know,
And put your name on it.
The ambassador's name is at the bottom of every message that comes out of Thailand from the embassy. So whether it's asking for $10 more to buy something, you know, all of the whole range of issues. But ambassadors in general don't. I don't. I don't have time. If I have something to tell my bosses back home, I call them.
So you tweet them?
No, I don't tweet it. Tweeting is personal. I don't think my bosses follow me on Twitter. I don't know.
Maybe she should.
She should. I'll tell her.
Yeah,
she should. She should. So I think in the end it won't. You know, the partnerships and the friendships are so important, and they go beyond diplomats, they go to people, and I think the way that we all talk and work in today's world has changed so much anyway. I don't think in the end it will make a big difference.
Transparency, you touch on a very key issue that Julian Assange is trying to argue about WikiLeaks. Where should the line be drawn? The public's right to know, transparency, what my government is doing, what diplomats are doing, or maybe some privacy for things to be carried out.
I mean, that's the really hard balance. Because, for example, you know, what if I took your notes for today's interview? That's not fair, right? That's your private notes. Or, you know, if I took your cell phone and read all the text messages you've sent. You know, that's transparency, but it's violating your privacy. So I think the hard part really is balancing. What do people need to know? Where is good transparency? Where is a sharing of information? And where are issues that are private? When you have your own notes, sometimes, you know, if you took my notes from something and published them, that's probably a violation of privacy. On the other hand, if you cause people to feel more open, that's good. So it's a very hard balance.
But there should be a line.
Making sense?
But you think there should be a line?
Well, I think it's a balance. And I think it's very hard to know where that balance is. And maybe it's something each of us will be thinking about carefully now. But there should be a balance between violating privacy. You know, if I read all of your email messages and publish them, that's violating your privacy.
But I'm not a public official, see?
But even if you're not a public official, you probably wouldn't like it if I did.
Yeah, of course, that's like privacy.
Right. And I think you could argue that public officials are entitled to some privacy as well. And that there are always conversations and issues. I'm sure every businessman in every country has conversations about strategic directions and what they're doing that are private. And I think, as I said, it's a balance. Because there is a good reason for the public to know things. There are also some things that are more private or not ready yet to be shared.
Do you despise what he did, Julian Assange?
I don't know him well enough to despise him. I don't know the motives or what or how. So.
He seems to be fighting on some ideological ground about how government should be more transparent and accountable.
Well, transparency is good, but again, I don't know him well enough to have the faintest idea of his motives or what he thinks.